I heard a quote that says, there are three types of people in the world. Those who watch things happen, those are the majority. Those who don't know what happened, and those who make things happen. What category do you fall in? Think about that. I'm headed right now to Harvey, Louisiana, to the Barnes & Noble to do an author book signing for Black History Month. Gonna be with 4 other ladies. We're gonna be showcasing our books, doing an author signing. And the book that I am gonna be showcasing today and talking about today is my latest book, Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. And if you know anything about me, you know that I am big on civic engagement, working to get folks involved, to be engaged in civic life, to do your civic duty. So just a little bit about my book, Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. The book is made up into 4 parts. The first part being Civics 101, because I believe in order for us to be involved, to be engaged, we have to be educated. In order for us to be able to educate others, we have to ourselves be educated. So there's a civics lesson that I start the book off with. And then another section of the book is volunteer service. Talk about how we can get involved and get engaged through volunteer work. Because a lot of times, you know, we think, we say it's just so much happening. There's so many problems in the world, and yes, that is true. But we don't have to try to address every single issue, every single problem. You just choose something that you're passionate about, something you care about, and you begin to work towards addressing that problem. But I think we tend to think, because there are so many issues in the world, that I'm just not going to do anything. And that is not the way to go. That's how we end up in that category of those who watch things happen, who are the majority of the people. They just watch things happen and say, oh, it's for everybody else to deal with. That's not my problem. But that's not how we improve society. That's not how we improve communities. That's not how we enhance our quality of life, by just sitting back watching everything happen. So volunteer service is another section I talk about in the book. Again, we're talking about sacred civic action, how to engage in civic life. And sacred civic action aims to blend spiritual principles with civic responsibilities to educate, engage, and empower people to take civic action. Sacred civic action is about service to God, first and foremost, and it's about service to others. And those who say that, okay, we should separate church and state, I disagree. I'm a part of the church. And I believe absolutely 100% that church and state should not be separated. And I believe those who push that concept of separation of church and state is because they know how powerful the church is. And they know when the church is involved, when the church is engaged, when they know the power that the church has, the church can push back on a lot of the foolishness and the injustices and the inequities that we see in our communities. So this book is kind of like, I'm not going to say it's a support for the concept of church and state, but I don't believe in that separation of church and state. Again, I am a woman of faith. I am a part of the church. And I believe the church absolutely has a place in politics. And we should be involved. We should be engaged, because when we are not involved, when we are not engaged, that's how injustices continue to happen. That's how we continue to see things that we do not agree with, things that we do not support, because the church has been silent. And I'm not one to say or talk about the church and say that the church is not involved and not engaged, because I've seen where the church has been involved and engaged. And keep up the good work for those of you who are a part of the church, who are engaged and not afraid to speak up, because we need more people particularly people of the church, people of faith, prophetic voices to speak up to what's happening. So again, more on the book, Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. Another section of the book, I talk about civil protests in the book, volunteer service, civics 101, civil protests, because there are times when we have to protest. There are times when we have to stand up for what we believe is right. So we have to protest. But there's a strategic way that we must protest. You can't just say that, okay, we're going to take it to the street and protest when we don't have a strategic plan. So when we are protesting, we have to know what it is we're protesting, why we're protesting, what are the demands, what are we expecting to get as an outcome of this protest. So we have to have a plan when we are protesting, okay? So those are some things that I talk about in the book. And it just talks about how to be engaged, how to be an engaged citizen. Because you are a citizen. You are a citizen and you have responsibilities as a citizen. And when we are all involved as a collective, not just one person, not just looking for one person to do everything, that's what it means to be engaged. So we can't look, and even though we have elected officials, leaders, community leaders, we have spiritual leaders in our communities, leaders that pastor and lead a church, ministers, teachers, apostles, evangelists. That does not mean that we just sit back and watch and look to others to do what it is that we can do. We can be engaged, we can be involved, we can be educated. And again, I believe it starts with education. We have to educate ourselves, because the only way we can educate others if we ourselves are educated. So I believe that's where it starts. And when we talk about blending spiritual principles with civic responsibilities, which what Sacred Civic Action is about, because this is more than just a book that I wrote. This is a philosophy that I live by every day. Sacred Civic Action. And sacred means holy. It's holy. It's set apart. And civic action means to take action, to be involved, be engaged. But we do it in a sacred way. We do it in a holy way, because it's what Jesus would do. And when I hear people talk about separation of church and state, I'm like, I don't understand this concept, because Jesus was all about politics. Jesus was for the people. An extension of Jesus' ministry was caring for those that were sick, the poor, the needy, the lost, the least of these, the left out. Those are the people that Jesus cared for. And all politics is caring for your neighbor, making sure your neighbor has the best, making sure your neighbor has what they need. And who is your neighbor? That's everyone. It's not just the person that lives to your left or your right. Your neighbor is everyone. In the Bible it says, Jesus said, what you do for the least of these, you do for me. So whatever we do for our neighbors, we're doing it for Jesus. And that's all politics is. It's making sure everyone get what's fair. Everyone get what they need. That is fair. That's all diversity, equity, and inclusion is. And right now we have those in this country that are trying to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion. But DEI is all about fairness, all about everyone being included, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your socioeconomic status. DEI is about everyone being included. So when we hear those who talking about dismantling DEI, something that has helped this country to advance, something that has helped this country to make sure everyone was included and everyone was involved. And let's be clear about this. DEI does not just benefit people that look like me. DEI benefits people of all races. Matter of fact, DEI benefits white people more than it benefits black people. So for those who think that, oh, DEI, when we dismantle that or try to get rid of that, it's just hurting black people or people of color. And that is not true, because white people benefit from DEI at a higher rate than black people. So we have to be educated, because we can get caught up in all the things that we see on TV, on the news, you know, other people that's speaking about issues, about matters that really don't know what's happening. But when we talk about sacred civic action, we talking about making sure that we are including our neighbors. We are serving our neighbors. It's about serving God and serving others. So I wrote this book and released this book last year, Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. And it's all about educating folks on how they can be involved, how they can be engaged. So I'm headed right now on this 22nd day of February 2025, doing a author book signing at the Barnes & Nobles in Harvey, Louisiana, right outside of New Orleans, for Black History Month. This is a Black History Month event that I'm participating in. But this is something that I care about. This is something that that's really important to me, because it takes all of us. It takes all of us to be engaged. It takes all of us to be involved. But we have to be educated. I can't speak to the people. I can't do this video that I'm doing right now if I'm not educated on what it is that I'm talking about. So I'm talking about this book that I wrote to help people get engaged, to help people get involved, because this is something that I do. This is something that I care about. So again, we don't have to try to solve all the issues in the world. We know we can't do that. And there are a lot of issues and problems in the world. But guess what? You can be part of bringing a solution. And you may not know what the solution is right now. That's okay. But just start working towards getting engaged, being involved, being educated. And especially if you're a person of faith, your voice is needed. Your input is needed. Your skill set is needed. Your wisdom is needed. Your knowledge is needed in this hour. More than ever. If there's ever been a time that prophetic voices need to speak up and stand out, it's this time. It's this season that we're in. So I want to encourage those of you to do not be afraid, because God has not given us a spirit of fear. God has given us a spirit of love, power, and of a sound mind. So specifically, if you are a person of faith, a woman of faith, man of faith, it's time. It's time. You have been quiet long enough. You have been on the side of those that watch things happen. Again, when I started this video, I talked about the 3 types of people in the world. Those who watch things happen, that's the majority. Those who don't know what happened, don't have a clue what happened. And those that make things happen. We have to be on the side where we're making things happen. And it don't have to be something big, grandiose that you're doing. But every little thing makes a difference. Every little thing counts. It matters. If you just open your mouth and speak up, speak out against injustices, something that you see that's not right, you speak up. So that's what Sacred Civic Action is all about. It's about serving God, and it's about serving others. Because it's what Jesus would do. So we have to be involved. We have to be engaged. We can't continue to say, oh, that's for them. They're going to handle it. No, it takes all of us to be involved. It takes all of us to be engaged. And if you know me, you know that I'm a huge advocate for voting and voting rights. We have to vote. We have to make sure that our voice is heard through our vote. We can't just sit back and say, oh, you know, my vote don't count, my vote don't matter. And you may feel that way. You may feel frustrated. I get it. I've been frustrated. But now is not the time to sit back and do nothing. Now is not the time to sit back and do nothing. I get it. I get the frustration, especially when you can't visibly see anything changing in your community, when you don't visibly see any changes or anything different. For those of you that have been voting and you're wondering, like, why am I voting? What is the use? Why do I continue to vote when I don't visibly see any changes? But change is happening. Progress is happening. And the more we vote, the more we stand up, the more we exercise our right to vote, the power that we have, because we have power and we are powerful. We have to acknowledge that first and foremost. In order to know the power that we have to believe that we have it. And I think that's a big part of the problem, is we don't even acknowledge and understand and know the power that we do have. We have power, but we have to use it. We're not using it, then we can't do anything. We can't make anything happen. So I want to challenge you to be part of that category that make things happen. And again, you don't have to be trying to do something huge and humongous. Just start where you are. Start right where you are. That is what Sacred Civic Action, quick guide to engaging in civic life is all about. Starting where you are. Starting with what you have. What do you already have? Do you have a cell phone and a camera? What it is that you're passionate and that you care about. Speak up about that. Speak out about that. Educate yourself on it and speak out and educate others. And when others are educated, then others can speak up and speak out and address issues. But it starts with education, y'all. That's why I start the book off with a civics lesson. So if you have not had a chance to get a copy of Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life, because it is, it's gonna bless your life. It's a source of inspiration and empowerment. Again, it's much more than a book. It is a philosophy that I live by. I live by this philosophy. I live to serve God and I live to serve others, because I know how it makes a difference when we serve God and when we serve others, when we serve our neighbors. I am my sister's keeper. I am my brother's keeper, because that's what Jesus would do. Jesus was about caring for the people. Jesus was out in the street amongst the people, and that's what it is about. Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. That is what this book is about. So if you hadn't had a chance to get your copy, if you're not going to be out here in Harvey, Louisiana today on the West Bank at the Barnes & Noble where I'll be set up today, showcasing my book, you can still get your copy. You can go to my website. That is allthingscynthiayoung.com, allthingscynthiayoung.com, or you can go to amazon.com and get a copy, or barnesandnoble.com and get a copy of the book. Because if you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, how to get involved, this book is a great source of inspiration and empowerment that will help you to get started. And again, just start where you are. Start with what you care about, what you're passionate about. Is it animals? Is it healthcare? Is it homelessness? Is it teen pregnancy? Is it voting rights? Is it immigration? Is it crime? Is it whatever? Whatever it is that you care about and that you want to see change in, you want to see something different, you know, you have to take up that mantle. It starts with you. We can't wait on everybody else to do it. You are the change that we are looking for. You are the change that we are waiting on. So it starts with you, okay? So again, you can grab a copy of that book, Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. You can go to the website, allthingscynthiayoung.com. You can go to amazon.com, and you can go to barnesandnoble.com and get a copy of the book. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. This, what I'm wearing, is a Black History Month collection that was in Target. Yeah, I know some of y'all boycotting Target. I know. Again, I talk about civil protests. in the book. We must have a plan. We must have a strategy. Not saying I'm against those who's boycotting Target, but I will say this. There are people that look like me that work in Target. The Target that I go to, the Target that is like 5 minutes away from where I live. As long as I see people that look like me that work in Target, I have to support those people. And I get it. I'm not mad at anybody that's boycotting. Do you? But for me, in my decision, I have decided to continue to shop at Target. For now, at least. And so this is one of their Black History collections. This dress that I have on, Target does have a Black History collection where they sell products that are owned and created by African American people. So this dress here that I'm wearing today, it is from their Black History collection. So I just wanted to throw that out there and shout you out for anybody that may be watching this video and say, oh, I saw that dress in Target. Yes, it did come from Target. No, I have not boycotted Target, at least for now. So, and I gave my reasons why. There are still Black-owned businesses that are doing business with Target for now. There are still people that look like me that work in Target that's earning a paycheck from Target. So, again, we just have to be strategic in how we move it when it comes to boycotting and protesting and, you know, all of that stuff. But I talk about that in the book. So, again, the book is really going to bless your life, especially for those that just don't know how to be engaged, don't know how to be involved. Sacred civic action. We can be involved, we can be engaged, and we can do it in a sacred way. We can do it in a sacred way. That's the most important part. You might find books out there that talks about engaging and being involved, but are you going to find one that talks about doing it in a sacred way? Because when we have people that's out here that's trying to separate church from state, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, because as people of faith, we should be on the front lines. We should be the voices that's louder than everybody else. Those in politics, they should be looking to us for answers. They should be looking to us for wisdom. But if they don't know that we are a voice of reason, if they don't know that we are a voice of wisdom, that we hear from God, and others don't know that, then how can they come to us for answers? We are the solution. We are the solution to the problems in the world today, and we have to start believing that. And until we start believing that we are the solution, we are the answers, and until we start believing and knowing the power that we carry, we're going to continue to see what we're seeing. But again, we're making so much progress. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe what we're doing or what we have done in the past has not been working, because it has been working. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be those who are out here that are trying so hard to keep us silent, that are trying so hard to dismantle things like diversity, equity, and inclusion that benefits everybody, not only people of color. That's trying to roll back voting rights, civil rights, basic human rights. So if we didn't have power, if it wasn't working, if we wasn't doing something right, then we wouldn't see what we're seeing. We wouldn't see those who are trying to take us back to make America great again. When was America ever great? When was America ever great? We have come from so much. We have come so far. And God has not brought us this far to leave us. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. There's a time to be silent, and there's a time to speak up. Silence is not weakness. We don't have to respond to everything. But when God has told you, when God has said you need to speak up on this, God is giving you an assignment, just know that God is going to be with you, and he's going to guide you and lead you every step of the way. God said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So just know, you don't have to speak out about everything. But when God has assigned someone or something to your life, when he is giving you assignment, you cannot be quiet. You cannot be quiet, okay? So this book was written and released to help those that just don't know what to do or how to do it. God has assigned me as a writer and an author to write, to be a resource, to be a help to those that may not know. So you have a resource. You have what you need. We have everything we need to get started. Okay? So just know that God is with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He goes before you. And if you don't understand, if you need wisdom, the Bible says in James 1:5, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask God. If you don't understand, if you need clarity, you need understanding, you need wisdom from God, ask him. I dare you to ask him. Taste and see that the Lord is good. I dare you to ask him. I dare you to ask him. Ask God. He's going to give you everything you need. Amen. So y'all be encouraged. Go and get a copy of that book, Sacred Civic Action, Quick Guide to Engaging in Civic Life. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Talk to you soon.